Good morning. Of course, this case may be disturb the defense lawyers, but still there are multi number of cases referred in the judgment which you can use for your case. But here, this case is most important for public prosecutors and the assisting prosecutor, defense counsel who assist victims' family to get their remedy for dowry death and domestic violence cases, etc. A important variation definition has been given in the judgment AR 2022 Supreme Court 933 State of Madhya Pradesh versus Jogendra and another. This case they say dowry death and cruelty. Deceased committed suicide by flaring within 4 years of marriage when she was pregnant. Section 2 of the Dowry Prohibition Act define what dowry takes in its ambit any kind of property or valuable security. Therefore, they say it was not complicity but case of sheer helplessness faced by the deceased. Cruelty and harassment by accused soon before his death proved to be in connection with the demand of dowry. So 498A, 304B proper as convicted by the lower court. Then they have also discussed about the maxim at res magis valeat quam perit. They say then the words and process dowry was discussed. The leave about the facts of the case. If you want, you go through the facts of the case. They have discussed about multi number of cases wherein earlier Supreme Court has stated that the demand of money for construction of the house for purchase of vehicle may not tantamount to dowry. But here in this case, they have held that is not correct proposition of law in the given circumstance of the case. Then they say what all are the requirement for 304B? The death must be under abnormal circumstances within 7 years of marriage. She was subject to cruelty and harassment at the hands of her husband soon before her death. Cruelty related to any demand or dowry in respect of section 2 of the Dowry Prohibition Act. The section 2 dowry prohibition were discussed. Then they say after referring the above said cases, it was the judgment delivered by 3 judges led by Chief Justice. 304B was inserted in the IPC to combat the social evil of dowry demand that was reached alarming proposition. So they have said. Then they say we therefore declare that any money or property or valuable security demanded by any of the person mentioned in section 2 of the Dowry Prohibition Act at or before or at any time after the marriage which reasonably connected to the death of the married woman would necessarily in connection with or intent relation to marriage unless the facts given case clearly and unequivocally point otherwise. So they have given some. Then they say, what about this maxim? At regis magis valeat quorum petrit. Liberal construction should be put on written instruments so as to uphold them if possible and carry them to effect. Intention of the parties sums it up. So while dealing with the documents, the intention of the writer should be discussed. Here, then on contra, they say interpretation of provision of law that will defeat the very intention of the legislative must be shunned in favor of an interpretation that will promote the object sought to be achieved through the legislation meant to uproot a social evil like dowry demand. Therefore, this interpretation that the demand of house is not a dowry may be within the ambit of this doctrine, that the very purpose of intention of legislation to bring this Dowry Prohibition Act and 304B possibility of defeated. Therefore, they say this is the judgment they referred above. Then they also referred 113 of the Indian Evidence Act, where burden shifts on the persons. And they say what is about soon before is therefore important. Question of law, how soon before? That also been discussed. It relates to the mindset of people which varies from person to person. Cruelty may be mental or it can be physical. Mental cruelty is also different shades. It can be verbal or emotional, like insulting or ridiculing or humiliating a woman. It can be giving threats of injury to her or her near or dear ones. It can be depriving her of economic resources or essential amenities of life. It can be putting restraints on her movements. It can be not allowing her to talk to the outside the world. The list is illustrative and not exhaustive. Physical cruelty could be actual beating or causing pain and harm to the person of human, but mental cruelty may last. Therefore, soon before is a relative term. In matters of emotions, we cannot have fixed formulate. The time lag may differ from east to east. This must be kept in mind while examining each case of the dowry death. So, finally, they have set aside the High Court judgment and confirmed the lower court judgment. So, this is most important. You could understand the way of. So, today I have opened another WhatsApp group, particularly because today I saw a newspaper that general knowledge quiz program may be conducted on zone wise all over India, fixing some prize for children studying 9th standard plus. So I want to have some discussion about that only for the children, though I may not have name of children. I have included the name of the advocates. Probably with my knowledge they may have children or grandchildren, so that they take them to this area. For simple example, what I mean to say, how my first lessons will be how to teach the children to understand the environmental knowledge. First environmental knowledge, then geographical knowledge, then what about historical knowledge, then scientific knowledge and arithmetic accuracy knowledge. All these things are there. Events happening, what are sports, these all are coming under events and happening, all these things. So simply, for example, the child is not concentrating. It is not that he is not understanding. Some children are not concentrating about the environment. Just ask him a question when he is on table for his breakfast or dinner. You ask him why this tumbler is not falling down. Then he may say that because the table is flat. Then you may simply slope the table by holding it. Then there is possibility of the tumbler falling down. The child may ask, may ask why you are doing. See, this is now why this is happening. They may say because it is slope, the tumbler may fall. Suppose you put a question that a powerful magnet is put down the tumbler, whether this silver tumbler may fall, the child may immediately answer no, it would not fall. Then you may simply explain that this is the way earth is holding us, even though we are living at slope of some parts of earth, almost 90% of the places of earth we live because of gravity of earth. This is the way we have to teach. I have a lot of making them to understand how to understand this general knowledge, and not I will not bore the children. Immediately jump one day on the one subject, other day the other subject. So better you take this, and I will today accept 1, 2, 3 days, or I will stop the pouring in of other messages in this particular WhatsApp except general knowledge, which I have. If suppose if anybody communicate to me, I will re forward it to that if it is apt for the children. Okay, I think best wishes.